I want to tell you one thing I can't say now, otherwise people into the industry will kill me.
This interview special is brought to you by our good friends at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today, play $5, get $50 instantly when you use code MIB. The English transfer window shuts this Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So it's incredible joy to speak to the gent who scripts all of it. Essentially, the Jesse Armstrong or Vince Gilligan of transfers. His podcast, Here We Go. It's always an absolute must listen on the Men in Blazers Media Network, but never more than during transfer window season. Twice a week, delivering the latest transfer truths. Podcast-wise, it's like listening to This American Life, but pure, uncut football. On this eve of the transfer window slamming shut, or who are we kidding, closing oddly quietly, we don't care. It's always magical to welcome back. It's Mr. Fabrizio Romano.
Thank you, my friend, as always. Thanks a lot. Can't wait to see about your questions because it's going to be a crazy week, I'm sure. And so I'm ready. I'm ready to answer.
Taping about 3 o'clock in the morning your time, which you told me is kind of your quiet time for chatting. So let's get right into it. Question off the top, Fab. The big question from a long-time listener, Mark Dolce, who says, "Ciao, Fab. I love the Here We Go on the Men in Blazers Media Network. Like a lot of American listeners, I'm in awe of your English language skills. I'm wondering, where did you acquire your Inglese molto optimale? Your very optimal English." What a question. Fab, where did you learn to speak English better than I did?
My English is not that good at all. And I didn't study English, to be honest. I just studied at school in the first 3 years. Then the final 2 years was a terrible teacher. And then I started talking with people on daily basis, That's basically what happened. I started calling people, texting people, reading, obviously, on websites every single day. And that's what happened. I started using English because I was needing English to get in touch with people. So my English is not coming from any school or anything specific, just from the streets, let's say like this.
What was the name of the terrible teacher, Fab?
Anna Maria was the name.
Anna Maria was terrible at teaching English because she didn't teach you the important words like amortized contracts, with which you are now so intimately familiar. Fab, this has been an oddly quiet transfer window. The big clubs either pretending to care about financial fair play, or in clubs like Barcelona's case, having to face up to truly harsh financial realities. Do you expect that to change in the last couple of days of the window? Will there be a late-breaking flurry of moves, or is this just where football is right now? Are we in the austerity era?
Oh, I think there will be some exciting opportunity, some last-minute move. So I get ready for some last-minute surprise also. I don't think it's going to be about super big names. So forget about the Nico Williams, forget about this kind of big names. I don't think it's going to happen anything super big, but some opportunity players, still important players, like Victor Oshimen, like Kingsley Coman, like Federico Chiesa. These are still very good players, important players, and so I think they could be around the final maybe 48, 72 hours of the transfer window. Some of the big names we will be monitoring because things are happening. This Monday was quiet, I would say, but movements from Tuesday will be really intense. And so these are three names, for example, of many who I expect to move in the final days.
When you're talking about giants of world football and transfers, you missed the words Dominic Calvert-Lewin from that, as we will discuss. But second big question, where's the Saudi league been? I mean, it seems like even Ivan Toney batting his eyes at them, doing his come and get me, bro, please, has not moved them. De Bruyne didn't go. Alisson didn't go. Dybala did not go. Oshimen's agent said, quote, "Today, Victor is not a package to be shipped far away to make room for new profits," which honestly sounds almost biblical. Low attendances at the beginning here, even to watch Ronaldo. Saudi transfer window doesn't shut until October the 6th. What's going on at the heart of the project?
Well, what I'm hearing is that they are still obviously into the market, but the real issue this summer is that they were not able to invest the same amounts as they were able to invest 1 year ago. So that's the reality. When you sit at a table with this kind of big names you mentioned, you still have to put big money on the table to convince them to join Saudi. And this summer, it didn't happen, just in some specific cases. For example, Moussa Diaby, but To be honest, what I expect in the next days is some concrete and strong movement from Saudi Pro League clubs. For example, Al Nassr are negotiating for Milan Skriniar from Paris Saint-Germain. Al Hilal, I think they can do a big move in the next days. So I expect Al Hilal to be very busy with Joao Cancelo from Manchester City and maybe an offensive player too. So Al Hilal could be absolutely an interesting one to watch in the next days. Then there could still be movement for Victor Oshimen. Let's see what's going to happen with Al Ahly in this case, because he rejected the first proposal, but if they include the release clause, the story could be different. So I think it's been a quiet window for them, but there could still be room for some movement in the final days.
The one odd dalliance with the Saudi League, Vini Jr. I don't know how much truth there is to this and why. ESPN reporting with his contract ending at Real Madrid, he's been offered $395 million a year to move. At his peak, still just 24. Is there any element of truth there?
I think the element of truth is that from Saudi there is interest in Vinicius Jr. This is 100% true, because they appreciate Vini. They consider Vini as obviously a fantastic player, one of the strong candidates to win the Ballon d'Or. So bringing Vinicius Jr. to Saudi would be the perfect move for them. But this summer was never a concrete possibility. Real Madrid position and reaction has always been the same. No chances to let Vinicius go this summer, not even a negotiation, not even a club-to-club talk, not even an official bid, because for Real Madrid this was not the case for this summer. So Vinicius is 100% staying also in the next days. Nothing is going to change. Then in the future we will see, because maybe next year from Saudi they can return, they can try to tempt Vinicius and Real Madrid again, but for this summer was never a really concrete possibility.
We're going to leap into the individual moves in one moment, but there's another theme of recent transfer windows that I wanted to just get you to comment on big picture. Big English clubs targeting and signing ever younger raw teenage talent from other smaller clubs. Liverpool set to snap up Alvin Ayman, 16, to join their academy from Wolves. Manchester United looking at 18-year-old midfielder Sekou Kone from Guidars FC in Mali, adding him to their youth ranks after the addition of Chido Obi Martin, 16, earlier in the summer. Can you talk about this? What is going on? Because it's almost as if the big clubs are just trying to drain the trout farms of smaller ones. And when you think about it, medium term, smaller clubs selling their biggest assets so raw, so early, not at peak value, it's not great for the future of the game. How do you understand it?
You're right, but this is the only way to survive with financial fair play. And I think this is absolutely the only way to explain this is financial fair play. I think it was also I saw some of the big managers in Premier League saying that the only way to survive, also Unai Emery said, we didn't want to sell some of our players like Douglas Luiz, but the only way to survive is to adapt to the new system, and also for the smaller clubs is to sell the young talents to the big clubs, and also for the big clubs, instead of having some backup players with a big name and with a big salary, now you prefer to have a young player on a small salary, because the salary is the key part of the story to understand why they are investing on these guys when they are so young, because you can offer them a normal salary, a small salary, and they can still adapt and evolve at your club, develop at your club, instead of waiting when they can cost bigger money. So this is why the financial fair play has completely changed the system. And now look at many clubs, how they are investing on young players. For example, Arsenal, Fabio Vieira is going on loan to Porto, and they are going to trust Ethan Nwaneri, who is a big talent. So it's something that from big clubs we didn't expect just a few years ago. This is completely changing, but because of financial fair play rules.
So you mentioned Arsenal. Let's start with them. The title challenger-elect. Perfect so far on the season. Mikel Merino poised to arrive to bolster the midfield creativity from Real Sociedad for around $43 million. But after beating Aston Villa at the weekend, Mikel Arteta briefed the press that he feels, finally he's talking about it, the squad are a striker down. Gabriel Jesus out with groin knack. Arteta's words, we are, quote, a little bit short in attack. Who are the options, Fab, the real contenders to become a Gooner?
Yeah, I think it's going to be not a super big name. So I don't expect, first of all, Arsenal to go for a center striker. Also because there was some fear around the injury of Gabriel Jesus over the weekend. One more injury for Gabriel. But then I'm told that they did some tests on Sunday and also this morning, and it was quite positive. So it's not going to be a serious injury for Gabriel. And this is why the idea of Arsenal is to sign a winger rather than a number 9. So looking at an opportunity, last-minute opportunity on the market. And so, for my experience at the moment, in terms of news, there is still nothing concrete, nothing advanced, nothing close. But for my experience, you have to look at the opportunities who are available at Arsenal level in this moment on the market. And for example, I mentioned one name, and it's Kingsley Coman. Kingsley Coman has some possibilities in Saudi. Kingsley Coman is in the list of clubs around Europe, including Barcelona. But for Arsenal, could be a perfect solution. The problem there is the salary, because he's on a big salary at Bayern, and so that could be the issue. But Arsenal are looking for that kind of opportunity. Maybe a loan, maybe a player who is not super expensive, and with that kind of last-minute opportunity feeling for the Gunners. So I think they can do one more after Mikel Merino and could be a winger.
Liverpool fans, new manager Arne Slot inherited a strong squad from Jurgen Klopp. But if his club are truly to contend long term, there's got to be fresh blood, more than just a new backup keeper arriving, with a deal to sign Valencia and Georgia's Euro hero Georgi Mamadashvili said to be close. Rumours today of Federico Chiesa moving in from Juve, and there was still the shock of being turned down by Spanish star midfielder Martin Zubimendi, who chose the joyous life at Real Sociedad rather than that beautiful, beautiful city of Liverpool. Question from a long-time GFOP, Joseph Duda. Fab, will Liverpool make any deals before the window closes? And number 6, ...
I think they will. I'm not sure it's going to be a number 6, because Liverpool will not sign any player for the sake of it. This is not Liverpool style. This is not Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes style. So they're not going to do that. And the number 6 they wanted was Martin Zubimendi. So I would be honestly surprised if they can find in the final 2-3 days another number 6 at the level of Zubimendi. They prefer maybe to wait and try again for Zubimendi or any other player in that position, another moment of the market, maybe in January, maybe next summer. But now the focus is on other positions. So the winger. Today they made contact with the agents of Federico Chiesa. So Liverpool are talking to the player. The player is also open to the move. Now let's see how the club-to-club discussion will go with Juventus, but Juventus want Chiesa out. He's out of the project. He's not part of the squad. He's available on the market for something around 15 million euros. My personal opinion, a bargain for a player like Federico Chiesa. Okay, he had some injuries recently, but when Federico Chiesa can play offensive football, completely different compared to what he did at Juventus in the last few years, it's a completely different player, and for Liverpool style, he's absolutely perfect. So Liverpool are having contacts with his agents. I think Chiesa could be a concrete possibility for them in the final days. And then keep an eye also on a centre-back position, because in case Joe Gomez leaves the club, there is interest from Crystal Palace and also other clubs keeping an eye on his situation. In that case, Liverpool could also consider to bring in one more centre-back. So I think they will be definitely busy this week.
Chelsea Football Club, where new manager Enzo Maresca said he doesn't care about the first team players training with the youth academy, like Ben Chilwell, Raheem Sterling, Trevor Chalobah, with the academy players currently demoted there. Honestly, when you do that and you speak about it so publicly, kind of takes away the club's leverage in the transfer window. Other teams can just lowball Chelsea. If their own manager doesn't value the player, why should anyone else? They've got to move. First question first. Fab, do you understand why Chelsea have, for this second summer on the run under Clear Lake Capital, spent so much money? I think 268.8 million total on 11 new players. What's driving this influx? Almost this day trading of footballers in a rate we've never seen it before. Can you explain it?
Yes, I can, and I think we can only judge Chelsea in 3-4 years, because this is their idea. So I can understand now all the people saying that Chelsea project is impossible to understand and all the criticism around about Chelsea. It's absolutely understandable because they are investing big money and we can see big results. But trust me, some of the young players they are signing for the future, these are special players. I always mention Kendry Páez from Ecuador, but also William Estevao from Palmeiras. This guy is special, but he's really special. And when I say special, sources in Brazil see him at the Neymar level, potentially, obviously. He's super young, but we're talking about fantastic talents. So Chelsea feeling is that some of them may develop at the club already this year. Look at Madueke. When they signed him 1 year ago, it was like a completely different situation. The player was not at Chelsea level. Now he's shining, and Cole Palmer was a fantastic investment also. So their idea is, okay, let's see in the next 1, 2, 3 years how we develop, when all these players will join the club also from South America, like Estevao, Anselmino from Boca Juniors, Kendry Páez from Ecuador. So this is the idea. Long term. It's going to take some time, yes, but I think these players they're signing are very, very good.
Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. I enjoy playing because it's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, unlike other apps. On Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends. Become part of the Prize Picks community today. Prize Picks, available in more than 30 states across our nation, including California, Texas and Georgia. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks. With as little as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000. Second, for all the wheelings and dealings, Chelsea somehow still seem to cry out for a striker. Oshimen and Dominic Calvert-Lewin have both been linked. One of those things is not like the other. Who will arrive before Friday?
Look, the names I'm aware in this moment, Victor Osimhen remains an option because Osimhen, in this case, there is an agreement between Napoli and Al Ahly, 65 million euros, but still no agreement between Al Ahly and Osimhen. He wants a release clause to be included in the contract, as we mentioned, and at the moment, Al Ahly are not offering that. And for Chelsea, it's always been a loan, the idea of Chelsea for Victor Osimhen. So to arrive in the final hours of the market, try offer a loan and get the player with a last-minute opportunity. But the player doesn't want to go on loan. So the player only wants to leave on a permanent transfer or loan with obligation, guaranteed obligation. So let's see what's going to happen. Let's see what Chelsea can do with Napoli and with the player. And I think Osimhen remains a strong candidate for Chelsea in terms of striker position. And the other name I would watch more than Calvert-Lewin in this moment is John Duran from Aston Villa. He's still a player they really like. He's a player they wanted in June. It was a swap deal with Conor Gallagher, then everything collapsed. And now John Duran remains an option for Chelsea.
He's a proper iron. Talking of strikers, Brentford's no-look penalty meister Ivan Toney. What's at the heart of his non-move so far? I mean, when you're asking too much for Saudi Arabia even, is it a matter of someone pricing themselves out of the market?
I don't think so. I think Ivan Toney has been quite unlucky in terms of timing with the market because there were opportunities last year, for example, to go and Brentford asked for £100 million. So Ivan Toney had to stay at the club. Then now with 1 year left on his contract, there are some opportunities, but he's still expensive for some clubs. Some of them want to invest on young players. He's not old, but they want to invest on players who are like 21, 22, 23, so it's different market. So Ivan Toney at the moment still has the possibility to go to Al Ahly. If the Osimhen deal is not happening, Al Ahly are still very much interested in Ivan Toney, and the player is not closing the door to Al Ahly. So there is a negotiation. Then we know when you move to Saudi, it's also about the family, people close to the player, so they are taking their time to decide. But Al Ahly remains a possibility, or last-minute move to Premier League clubs who are maybe not finding the striker they wanted, like Chelsea, for example. So let's keep all the doors open because I still think he's going to get his move.
Manchester United continue really to just Avenger assemble Ajax's 2019 squad, which leaves us to wonder where 24-year-old England winger Jadon Sancho, who's fallen out with and made up with Erik ten Hag and possibly fallen out again. It's like a footballing version of the Gallagher brothers. Talk of a move now to Juventus, although their meeting United's valuation is said to be a tough reality. What's going on and who's got the upper hand in deciding the outcome here?
Yeah, I still think Sancho has a very good chance to leave Manchester United. It's not guaranteed yet, but at this point I would say something around 70% chances to go and 30% to stay because Sancho is open to going. Sancho was not in the squad for 2 games in a row because he has a concrete possibility to leave Manchester United. So for Juventus, this is only a deal possible on loan with a buy clause, but Man United want an obligation to buy. Juventus are offering an option to buy. So the discussion is still ongoing between the two clubs. The player is quite open to the move, but he's on a big salary, and this for Juventus is another issue. They already invested big money on Francisco Conceição from Porto, Nico Gonzalez from Fiorentina. They want to sign Cop Miners from Atalanta, so Juventus are spending big money on the market. So for Juventus, Sancho remains a negotiation, but has to be at their conditions. So I think this is kind of game of strategy. Let's see if it's going to be Man United winning with an obligation to buy or Juventus arriving last minute and try to sign the player alone with an option to buy. So deal on for Sancho and Juventus. Keep an eye also on Chelsea because maybe if Man United can get a player from Chelsea, I think that could be a possibility to do a swap.
Oh, let's talk about another team in blue, a great team in blue, Everton, who are just pacing themselves right now, given the early teams a head start before we reel them all in. But there's a lot of words about John Textor coming in to heal the ownership self-inflicted wound before the transfer window shuts. I'd love that to occur. 2 quick ones. Do you expect Dominic Calvert-Lewin, my beloved, still to be a blue? And if so, is that blue Everton or Chelsea blue?
No, at the moment with Chelsea, I'm not aware of something really, really concrete or close. I think Calvert-Lewin could only be something if in the final hours of the window on Friday, they are still not finding one of their top targets. I don't think this is something really concrete or really close. So at the moment, this is the situation. I still think that he has a chance to go to stay at Everton. And then I want to tell you one thing. I can't say now, otherwise people into the industry will kill me. But I will reveal something to you after the end of the transfer window on a swap deal that didn't happen for Calvert-Lewin. There was a concrete possibility at the beginning of August. I think it was never in the media, but I can't say now. I have to say in September. So next episode.
Oh, Fab, don't do that. Were we going to swap Dominic Calvert-Lewin for Tom Davis? Is that what was it?
I can't say anything.
No one's watching this. Just whisper, baby. Oh, my God. We were going to get Darwin Nunez, weren't we? Oh, make it happen. Don't make it happen. Make it happen. That was just a warm-up. Be tender, Fabrizio. I need to ask you about my prince who was promised, 22-year-old Jarrad Branthwaite. Where will he be? And by the way, if he is going to move to Liverpool, please don't use those words explicitly because my heart may just implode. But Sean Dyche has admitted this week Everton could be forced into the unthinkable, the Branthwaite sale.
Yeah, but at the moment, to be completely honest, there is still nothing concrete with Liverpool, with any other club. The only concrete club to arrive at Everton and present money was Manchester United, but it was something around £40 million plus add-ons, and it was absolutely not even close to what Everton wanted for the player. Imagine they wanted something around £70 million in July. Imagine now with 3-4 days left before the window shuts. So I think it's really difficult to sign Branthwaite, and I think there is still a very good chance to see him staying at the club. So I would be optimistic if I was an Everton fan on the Branthwaite situation.
Oh my God, to sell Jarrad Branthwaite would be like having a boat and just cutting a hole in the bottom of it yourself. But let's run through very quickly the future of a couple of our American babies. Gio Reyna was told he had no future at Dortmund, but he did come on with 10 minutes to go Saturday in the season opening win against Frankfurt. Remember, he was loaned out miserably, dear listeners, to Nottingham Forest last season. Playing time, it has to be said, looks slender at Dortmund. The director of football has said he may ultimately be staying. New coach Nuri Sahin may look at him differently than last season. Question from a GFOP, Haywood Breslin from Portland, Maine, who writes, first time, long time. With regards to our man Gio Reyna, what are potential solutions to get solid playing time for the man? Where could he possibly play this season, Fab?
There was some interest from Italy, and I still believe that Italy would be the perfect solution for this boy, because I see how they adapt to Italian football. American players is always fantastic, and also I think for the rhythm of Italian football, he would be the perfect kind of player. So I think this would be the perfect chapter. But what I'm told is that at the moment they were not even close to reaching an agreement. Two Italian clubs who approached Borussia Dortmund were never really close to reaching an agreement. For Borussia Dortmund, it remains a player that they trust. And as you mentioned, the new manager, Nuri Sahin, is very happy with Gio, what he's showing also in training. So I think there is a concrete chance for him to stay at the club. At the moment, there are no advanced negotiations, just as I mentioned, some calls from Italy. So I would not be surprised if at the end of the day he's going to stay at Borussia Dortmund and have one more chance till January.
Godspeed, Gio. Let's talk about Double T. Tanner Tessman, the 20-year-old Dallas Academy product who has soared at Venezia in Italy, captained the US men's team at the Paris Olympics earlier this month, was linked to Everton. Who isn't? But right now looks headed to France, right?
Yeah, it was a crazy story, the one of Tanner Tessman this summer. It was like a movie because he was one step away from joining Inter, so the deal was actually almost done between Inter and Venezia, but the deal collapsed because of personal terms. So Inter was an option, also Fiorentina was a strong option for him, they wanted him, and same reason, the deal collapsed because of personal terms. Then some possibilities abroad also with Feyenoord, Ipswich, Everton, but he's going to Olympique Lyon. He did his medical today, the recent hours, everything is okay, and so €6 million is going to be the final fee for Venezia, and I think a very interesting signing for Olympique Lyon. They've been able to convince the agents, and so now the deal is done.
You mentioned Feyenoord. We have to do a quick CONCACAF leap. Nottingham Forest submitted a new bid today for the great Santiago Jimenez. Proposal said to be worth €33 million, which would be a club record sale for the Dutch side. You've reported that Jimenez is open to the move, but it's up to the clubs again. I mean, is this something that this player who was talked about in the most glowing terms, a season and a half ago, is this the move of his dreams at this point?
I don't think so, but he's still very interested about the opportunity to go to Premier League. So I think it's been also similar to other players we discussed, like even Toney, quite unlucky because the strikers domino this summer didn't really start. We expected many clubs to go for a centre striker, an important striker like Arsenal, and they didn't. Chelsea, and they still didn't. All the others, like Liverpool, Barca, all the other clubs didn't sign a striker. Even Paris Saint-Germain, we all expected PSG to bring in a striker, and they didn't. So Santi Jimenez understands that in this moment the market for strikers is quiet. So he really considers this possibility with Nottingham Forest. There is a problem that this official bid, 33 million euros add-ons included some very difficult add-ons, very complicated add-ons. So Feyenoord see this proposal as 27 million euros plus 6 in very difficult add-ons, and this is why they are not accepting the proposal. The player understands that Feyenoord are pushing for him to stay at the club, and so it's still not easy for Santi Jimenez to move to Premier League. I think there is a chance for him to stay.
Finally, Matt Turner, my friend, once the backup at Arsenal, then the starter at Nottingham Forest, where it all went a bit pear-shaped, not started since an FA Cup game in February. Matt Sels, who was acquired by Forest last February, now the starter. Brazilian Carlos Miguel, acquired from Corinthians earlier this summer, and he's now the backup. Number 3 is a tough spot for any goalkeeper. What options does Matt Turner have? Because Gent needs minutes.
Yeah, there is a domino of goalkeepers I expect to happen in the final days, probably in the final hours of the window, because it all depends on Ramsdale. I think it's really important to understand what's going to happen with Aaron Ramsdale, and then all the other goalkeepers, including Matt Turner, but also Sam Johnstone at Crystal Palace, and others are waiting to see what's going to happen, because Ramsdale has some possibilities, for example, at Wolves and other clubs, but it depends on Arsenal. Arsenal always wanted a permanent transfer because they want to sign Espanyol goalkeeper Joan Garcia. So it's really a domino in this case. If they sell Ramsdale on a permanent transfer, they will go for Joan Garcia. Espanyol will go for another goalkeeper. In England, the market of goalkeepers will start very soon also for Kepa to go to Bournemouth and all the others. So let's say that Matt Turner, as other goalkeepers, is waiting to see what happens at these clubs and then to find an opportunity in the final days.
Goalkeeper logjam is just the worst. Couple more before we let you go. I got to say this, mere 2 years ago, transfer market was a buzz with American players going to the Premier League, or really to Leeds. Much of those hopes and dreams, there was a lot of optimism, ended in disappointment. Captain America Pulisic struggling at Chelsea. Leeds' eventual relegation. We had a golden era where every big team seemed to be coming in for young American talent, which was seen as like value. Is that period over? Are we now not seen to be this kind of worthy investment that we were in 2021-22? Is the shine off our boys, Fab?
No, I don't think so. I'm still optimistic about that, I think it's just about moments in football. It's part of the games. It's absolutely part of the game. It's also happened with South American countries. We had difficult years for Argentina, for example. They were not producing talents for many years, and now they are back at the fantastic moment of their football. So it's just a part of the game. I think I still have the feeling that the American players, for example, I'm here in Italy, and the impact they have on Serie A game, on Italian football, is always fantastic. So I'm still very much optimistic. I think it's a matter of time, and soon we will see many others coming to Europe.
One more for you, about a bloke who feels quasi-American, mostly because of his TV work. Thierry Henry looks so suave on the sideline of the French Olympic team, who he managed to a silver, l'argent, in the Olympics, then decided to terminate his contract as the French under-21 manager for, quote, reasons of his own. What do you know about Thierry and his management ambitions? What will happen next?
Yeah, he wanted to try something different. He had this big dream to be the new US MNT head coach. It was a concrete possibility because he was in the shortlist. There were some meetings between his agents and the federation. Then nothing happened. I think they appointed probably the best option available on the market in Pochettino. So a fantastic choice. But Thierry Henry didn't want to continue with that job with the French national team. He believes it's time for him to have a different kind of opportunity. So now he will take his time. He will keep studying, also going around to see all the methods to improve as much as possible, and then he's looking for an opportunity probably at a club. I think he wants to work at a club. That's the next step for his career, and so let's wait and see. Nothing is going to happen this summer. Now all the jobs are okay, but I think in a few months there could be Thierry Henry name again around.
Finally, last one for you, Fab. What have I not asked you that our listeners should keep an ear and eye out for? What do you expect to be the biggest noise-making move between now and the transfer window closing?
Victor Oshimen, because trust me, it's Monday night in Europe. The window shuts on Friday night, so it's 4 days to go, and I still can't predict where Victor Oshimen is going to play. I really still can't predict that. Talking to all the people involved in this story, I still can't predict, and I can guarantee to you that even the player doesn't know what's going to happen. So it's a really open story. Could be Chelsea, could be any other European club, could stay at Napoli, could go to Al Ahly. It's crazy. I think there could be surprises.
Oh, come to Everton, Big Vic. Childhood Everton fan. Not a lot of people know that. Spread that falsehood that I have just uttered. But Fab, to you, to your team, to your sanity between now and Friday. Grazie.
Thank you as always, and see you very soon in a more relaxed way in September.
Oh, listen to the Here We Go podcast on the Men in Blazers Media Network for more. Fab, courage.